Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. And look who we've managed to get on the show. Glenn, how are you, mate? How are you going?
Oh man, hey, thanks for having me. I'm going good. I'm going good.
Mate,
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I feel like I'm collecting the Infinity Stones. I got Chris, then now I've got you. I've got 2 stones so far.
Well, I'm the more powerful one than Chris.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
I could just come in and crush him or whatever. I have a beam.
Yeah.
Listen,
Something I wanted to ask because I learnt this when I interviewed him is obviously you and him both have the Modern Warfare 3 Jeeps, which is so cool. Now, I have a question. Do you know if any of them came to Australia and do you still drive yours?
oh, I still drive it all the time. Well, I shouldn't say all the time because it only has about 40,000 miles, and
Oh, no way.
it's a 2012. Yeah, no, I've lifted it. I put huge tires. I put a new front end on it. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the thing, and with the Jeep, the way it went down was everything had to go through me on on decisions when it came to like the game. And this was something that had to do with the game, so they just said, "Well, you do it."
Yeah.
And so I worked with this legendary Jeep designer. I don't remember his name, and he came back and he had the interior. It was all camo, but like little camo and with the bright and the dark, so very contrasty. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a jungle, dude. No, 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 no. I said I just want black on black on black.
Yep, yeah,
More for the.
black emblem. That's what we need.
Yeah, yeah. And they gave me a new hood and everything. So they found a hood that they could get made. I mean, remember they're doing this thing pretty quickly. They're because they made 3,500. I have no idea if they made it to where you are.
I've
I
never
would
seen
hope
one
so.
here ever, and when I check like car sales or whatever website, there is none. I like there's
Oh,
surely one made its way here.
hey, do you have to put the is the steering wheel on the other side?
Yeah,
Are
the
you on?
steering wheel's on the other side. Yeah, it's
Oh,
on the
see,
right
that's
side.
why,
It's on the right
right?
side.
That's why they're like, hey, we're not making like five.
Yeah. Do you know if they did go to any other countries than the US?
That's a very good question. I would imagine that some very big fans probably
Probably.
got a hold of some. Yeah, if you
Prob-
really want one, you get one that's probably from America.
well,
There aren't a lot though. I'm
there's
trying to try a new seat. I can't find
there's
it.
one available right now for sale for 25,000 or 26,000 roughly.
That's a good price.
Because and I was like, it'd be so cool to own one, but I doubt it would. The conversion from like USD to Australia, putting the wheel on the right side, I feel like you'd be spending over 100,000 just to do that.
Oh, no doubt. Is it a law? You have to have it on the other side.
Yeah, unless it's before a certain year, which is like in the 90s or 80s, you have to have it on the right side.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. So people like buy cars usually for like way cheap, and then they do the conversion from left to right, which is usually very expensive.
I got one more cheap
Oh,
story.
okay.
So we're making Call of Duty. We're making oh, by the way, I have my license plate COD space MW3. No one
Hell
took
yeah.
it. So
That
it's the greatest license plate, right?
it's now that should go in a museum, as you're talking about before. That's a
Yeah,
museum.
yeah. Except it doesn't look like the one that was sold to me originally. I've
Oh,
really done it up. Yeah, so we're making World War II.
yep.
And we have Jeep sequence, and I'm working with the pod, and then we're just kind of setting up, and we're working on it for about 2 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, and I'm realizing that these guys don't know how a Jeep goes, and I'm like, wait, have any of you ever driven in a Jeep? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh, a question that I should have asked, but I just kind of figured because one guy, who was the engineer, was just like, yeah, man, I've done vehicles, I got this. So I'm like, okay, we got to go out. We got to go out, and there's a place in California, real right near, about an hour away from us, where there's like thousands and thousands of acres just made for going into the woods. It's unbelievable, right? And so it's a park. And we were we're doing all kinds of stuff. I got them spinning in mud, and we're hitting, huge holes and all kinds of stuff, right? So now they're getting it. And let me tell you, when the mud, it was high. We go up this like blue trail, not knowing that blue actually meant monster truck. Like no matter how big your Jeep is, it isn't big
Oh,
enough. Yeah.
yep.
And we got stuck on a log, man.
Oh, gee.
We were just teetering like that for like 3 hours, waiting for somebody to come in and tow us out. But and we were all covered in mud. But man, that's what made the Jeep
I feel
fun.
like you'd do it again, though. I feel like you would do it
Oh
again.
my God, yes! It was just we were going okay. Start it. And we're standing in the back, and it's just spinning mud at us, just like
Yeah.
so. It was in me. It was everywhere for like I don't know 3 weeks. But we finally got pulled out. But it worked because now everybody understood how a Jeep, because
How
I
a
would let
Jeep.
everybody drive,
Yep.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yep.
Good
Covered
way of
in
doing it.
mud, learn the way, and you do it again in a
Oh, and
heartbeat.
on the way there was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm driving in the middle of this on these little woods. It's pretty big woods, and there's a dead boar right in the middle of the street.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? So
Yep.
I make a quick U-turn to go, and I pass by. I'm like, what the hell? I go back, and it's still like alive, lying there. Okay, this is kind of crazy, but I'm making zombies at this time,
Oh,
right?
yep.
We're making zombies, and so I take a couple of photographs. It's at night, right? It's in the dark, and all of a sudden, where it had a sort of a cut, the cut split open, and the steam came out. I'm like, that was the greatest. It couldn't have happened to the more right person, because I go back and I'm like, well, this is what we're going to add into zombies. You're going to have a little steam. You're going to have like it was just a crazy Call of Duty trip. The whole thing was from start to finish really good for that, and that's the sort of stuff that we have to do for Call of Duty.
There's a funny story. I remember when World War II came out and I was playing zombies and it was the first map. And I remember trying to do like the Easter egg by myself, and in the underground area, you'd run from one side, turn the valve, and you have to run all the way to the other. But if you don't do it quick enough, it goes back. And, yeah,
Yep,
and
yep, yep. Did you do it by yourself?
I
Because
did it.
we
I got
okay.
close. I got close.
What we wanted to do is make it so that you had to use a friend in some areas, in some things, but we still had to make sure that you could get by with one
Oh,
person
it
on
was
some things.
tough. I remember
Yeah,
on
yeah, it's
launch
got to be tough,
because I remember sitting there. I'd turn the valve and I'd be running away, and I'd go to turn the other valve on just to get to the next step, and I'm like, why isn't it working? I'd go back. The other valve already turned off. Like, oh, for fuck's sake, just keep going. I got close, and then I brought someone in to help me.
Did you what'd you think of it? Because the goal on that one was to like pull it out of. I mean, look, Treyarch's got their shtick and their thing that they do with it, and it is just awesome. So I didn't want to come in and just go, okay, I'll do my version of that, but I still wanted to do zombies. So it was like, okay, let's do something that's really the opposite way. I mean, where they had a lot of blood and guts, but let's just go realistic more. And so I got one chance to do that with zombies. I had such a good time. That's what made me want to do Callisto.
Do you want to hear my ranking of the zombies? Like all the
Please
zombies?
do.
All right.
Go right ahead.
Top three though, we got World War Two. I think it was the scariest zombies in my opinion. I
That
think
was that was a goal.
I
That's
think that
good. Thank you.
I think it
Thank
was
you.
the scariest zombies in my mind.
Hmm.
Black Ops 3, I feel like that's a really good
Oh,
zombies.
and no doubt, no doubt.
And then
Black Ops 3 was just great.
oh
At first people were like, I remember with Treyarch hearing about them when I wasn't there, and it was like, yeah, they're so, they're kind of blah blah blah. But when I get there, that I don't know what people are talking about. That was a professional team. I think it was run by Mark the whole time that I was there, and just fantastic. I mean, they were a top notch studio.
now
Still are. But I mean, when I knew them really well, I'd go down there anytime, and then it was great.
It's
Yeah.
funny. I remember when like certain games released, everybody was like disliking the game on release. But now you look back and everyone's talking about how much they love the game and how good it was. And it's funny how
Yeah,
that
yeah,
works. How people can
yeah,
dislike a
yeah,
game
yeah.
on release and then, a couple months later they go back, "Oh, I really loved it now. I wish they would go back to it." Like you got to make up your mind, peoples.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, when Dead Space came out, I mean, it won a lot of awards, so it was getting noticed. But it's not like it lit the world up with sales. But I mean, it was always ranked as a really good game, and it started getting into lists and all. But it's now, or I would say about 7, 8 years after Dead Space came out, is when it started getting put on a pedestal, or whatever it is. And now it's just part of the discussion of when you talk about video games, and or it can be. And so it's really nice to see something that you've worked on turn into this, because it didn't happen overnight. I mean, we knew we had a good game. It came out as a good game, but you know, uh, then the next year came out, and the next year came out, and but what was happening is people were remembering that game, just like Resident Evil 4 for me. Remembering that I'll always remember. I just loved being in that world. It was just before I did Dead Space, and I stayed in that world for a while. I mean, it was what, 2 discs or whatever. Um, Same thing with this is sound weird, but I just loved Ratchet and Clank. The first one and two, first two were just, I mean, they were all great, but the two were so new, to have so
There is a question I do want to ask because I was just thinking
yeah,
about it.
yeah, go ahead.
Obviously, I know you've met the creator of Resident Evil, and I'd love to know, is there anyone else you've met in that kind of space that you thought was pretty cool when you met them?
I have met so many people who have enriched my life, even with just seeing them and meeting them and stuff. One of the coolest was, a couple for, I don't know, I guess both three E3s that my game was released at Call of Duty. Spielberg came in,
Oh, no
and
way.
he comes in with his family or whatever, and at first he had like 9 foot guards, and by the last one he had these little guards. They're unassuming, but I bet they could just rip your head
Yeah,
off.
I reckon they could kick your ass if you tried to do anything. I feel like.
Yeah. And so he oh, was it Advanced Warfare? Oh man, I can't remember if it was Advanced Warfare. I think it was Advanced Warfare, where he sits down, we show him the level. I play him the level, or part of the level, right? And he gets up and he looks at me and he said, "I really like the way you're telling the story within the game. I couldn't have asked for uh, a
Compliment.
better response. I mean,
Yeah.
what he understood my story in the world, and we painstakingly always try to do that, right? And so that was a great one. But I've had lunch with Eli Roth. I was interviewing about Eli Roth did Hostel,
Oh, yep, yep, yep. That's okay.
and
That's a good
yeah, and
movie.
and a few others, of course, and Cabin in the Woods. I think was that.
Cabin in the Woods. Didn't Chris Hemsworth star in that? Was it from memory?
No, it's the Cabin in the Woods where there was something in the water. There's two of them, right? There's the Hemsworth one, and then there's another one, like, I don't know, Cabin by the Brook, or
Oh, so
I don't know. That was his first one. So I had lunch with him, and he taught me one thing, and that was, I said to him, "Hey, there's a scene in Hostel where the eye is coming out of the woman's face, and they cut uh the cord and I said that sound of the scissors, I gotta tell you, was just awful. And he said, "Whoa, dude, how I picked that up is we were trying to get scissors, we couldn't get it, so we took 9 scissors and we put the sound together to get one."
oh wow.
And that's what got me at that point, over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to start layering here and there. We did always layer things, but to take something like that, like rocks hitting or a hammer, and layer them, and that added to our audio. Yeah,
Speaking,
go ahead.
I gotta cut you off with this because you mentioned in an interview a while ago that you think the person who does horror best in films is James Wan, and I'd love to know if that opinion still sticks with you, or is there someone else that you've seen that does work that's impressed you both in the movie and TV universe?
James Wan's one of the best to me, right? He's people don't really know him that well, and so I worked with James on Dead Space.
Hmm.
I hired him, and because I had lunch, like I said, with Eli Roth, and then I also had I went to Wes Craven's house, and I spent the afternoon with Wes, and then met with James maybe a few days later at EA, and we just hit it off. We just talked about horror for like 3 hours. Just sitting in a room, and we're both walking around, we're both talking like this, but it was it was cool, right? Somebody else that knew horror like better, and like was talking camera angles, and so yeah, James is you'll see his name pop up in unusual places from time to time. I think I just saw his name pop up somewhere. I think it was a TV show. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know everybody talks about Jordan Peele, and but I like him. Yeah, sometimes I like him. I mean, he's
So
got a style. Yeah, he's
you
got
think,
a style. It's creepy.
yeah? What
And
movie, like out of all the horror movies you've watched in your lifetime, which one got you like jumping out of your seat the most?
well, as a kid, Halloween.
You know
You
what?
know,
I think my
yeah,
parents would have the same answer with that one.
yeah, I mean, the music, the sound, just the way John Carpenter did it. By the way, I had lunch with John Carpenter as well.
Oh no, what?
Yeah, yeah.
What a cool life
Well,
you've lived. Yeah, I'm just like
he's
listening to all these stories. Like, what a cool life to think the man that was the made Barbie is now turned into this. Uh,
I can't believe the stories, the crazy stories, how I am in these places when things happen. I mean, we here's one. I'm at Capcom. I was there for 2 years, but at one point they came to me and they said, or my boss said, I forget who, but doesn't matter, and said, "Hey, look, we have a game in Japan, and it's called Biohazard." But we can't use the name Biohazard in America. So we'd like you to have a competition and come up with the name or do
was
something to
this for
come up.
7? Resident Evil 7?
No, it's for the original Resident
Oh,
Evil, dude.
Resident. Oh wow.
The original Resident Evil. It's
Oh
called
wow. I gotta think way
Biohazard.
back. I gotta think way back for
We're
this.
talking, we're talking before you were born,
Yeah. Wow.
before your parents were born. No, I'm not
No,
kidding.
okay. I don't. I
But
don't think that one.
this was I mean, I want to say it was 95.
Oh yeah. Way, way
Something
before
like
I was
that.
born.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, look, this was at a point I had just hired my first designer, and I had no idea why or how. I mean, not why. I knew I needed a designer. I needed somebody focused on it. But how do you pick people back then? It was like we need a designer, and people were like, what? What is that? So that was, yeah, I got a designer, but I also got a writer. And the writer came up with Resident Evil, and he won the contest. And it was such a strange name, Resident Evil. We're like, meh, not gonna last. Because it was so different. But the fact that they chose it, but all right, so I hired the guy who came up with the Resident Evil name, which is kind of a weird one. Do you remember Blondie?
Blondie. Is that a movie show? I'm not exactly sure.
Uh, I
That's
shouldn't bring it up. It's too old. Blondie was a rock group,
right.
and
Yeah.
she
Okay.
was,
Look.
yeah.
Like.
I'll bring it right back to games. Although that was games. I was making a game with
Yeah.
Penn and
Yeah.
Teller. And so ask away.
I have a little bit of a curse. I love horror, like especially horror games. But like my curse is I get scared very easily. So I turn into a white girl
Oh,
every time I play horror games, and it's like sometimes I was just playing Resident Evil, and I swear it's like the adrenaline when you're getting chased by someone, and every time you turn around and he's closer and closer, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
here and it's scary, man. Every time I play a horror game, I always like, if a jump scare happens, I'll press pause and I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I here?
I do too. I get scared, man. I get scared, and so there are some that I play with the lights on, and
You
what was
know
that? What was that? What was the one with the girl, the little girl?
what? With Resident Evil
I
7?
love.
No.
No, no, no. Little girl. She's at the end of the hallway.
Oh, The Shining?
No, no. She's in a little blue dress, I believe. No, this is the main character. She's just yeah. Oh man. Well, we'll have to look it up. But
We'll
anyway,
come back to that. We'll come back to that.
that
Now,
was a great scary game. Yeah.
you know what game got me good, and it wasn't even a horror game technically? Subnautica.
Which one?
Subnautica, the depth of the water.
Yes, I've only watched some movies and stuff like that because I know I met the guys who did it, and but my daughter and she loves it. Right, she's a game fanatic. Oh, she's in the industry too. So, I named the Isaac's girlfriend after my daughter, Nicole.
Oh no way.
Yeah, 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 and then she's in the game industry.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she
really
was.
cool. That's like mentoring like the new generation with your kids.
Yes, we went out with a game. She had an idea that just I was like, oh my God, I gotta make that. But it wasn't my idea, so she was gonna make it. And we went out, and there's just no money out there right now. It's really a shame. It is so different, but it is horror again. It was gonna be, me and her working together, and passing the torch or whatever, and I hadn't seen that in the industry, a father daughter thing. And, it's really too bad. Oh, God, it's such a great pitch.
Like along the
Good.
lines of mentoring, I'd love to know, you've with all the stuff that you have done obviously in your career, you've led many different diverse teams across studios. How do you identify and nurture, emerging talent? And is there any like mentorship moments you're particularly proud of in the career that you've had so far?
In mentorships, doing that, and I don't even call it that. I will, I will help you out any way I can. It goes back to just a love for the industry. Look, when I got in it, we'll get back to your question.
That's all right.
Yeah, yeah. When I got in it, they made about 4 billion a year. It was a very small industry. We didn't even know if our. I thought that it was a job, because as an artist, and that's what I was. I was freelancing at the time, and I was doing quite well. But the I could see things were changing, and so I got into the industry. Didn't even know it was going to be a career, and it ended up being such a great career that I want to help out the industry any way I can. I feel like over the last 20 years, the game industry has been the industry to be in. That the best talent in the world came to the video game industry because look what we accomplished in these last 15, 20 years. I mean, we've gone from 4 billion, that was a little late on that was about a little more than that, but we've gone from 4 billion to 250 billion a year. And we don't even know the real numbers. And it's we've surpassed all these things. This is because of the talent in the industry. It's because of the ideas, and any way that I can help people. But one that and I don't you don't ever see. No, you do see it sometimes how it's helped people. Um, One in general, I do get this. A friend of mine. I helped him out way back. He was testing, and he wanted to get into games. And we were just setting up the studio and everything at Capcom. And so I said, and I'll probably get in trouble, but I think the statute of limitations is over. Is that I would leave my card in a bush for him at night, and he would go in and he would go teach himself 3D Studio.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. And so I let him do it. I'm like, yeah, I really like the guy. He was a great guy around the office, and I thought he was smart enough to do more than just being a QA at the time. Although QA has turned out to be one hell of a career too. Before it was just a job. But so he took that. And then we're like, okay, you now can be a designer because it was hard to find designers, and he became a designer. He became a good one. And that has led to him running teams and doing big things. And he is one guy who, out of the blue, I swear to you, it's at least once a quarter, sometimes maybe once a month. I get Dave loves Glenn. Thank you again, Glenn. Thank you.
So
So that's like one guy.
well, it's not silly, but nothing hurts more when you're playing a video game and there's like small details that you pick up on, where it's like, especially with gun models, but even like trying to make it a gun that would work in real life. There's a
It's
clear.
not just there; it's everywhere, dude. That we're doing a tank. Was it? It was an American tank. I think it was for like the mini boss at near the end. And we're studying it. We're going. I think, and I believe it was this one. The barrel actually bounces a little when you're going on the hills.
Oh,
It's
yep.
got a little something. There was something about it. I forget whatever it was. It was so subtle, but we knew we had to get that right because we're putting attention on the tank, and you will hear about it, right? Even some things that are right, people will say that you were wrong, and so you'll hear about that. But I like getting the letter that someone got from a grandma at one point who just wrote and said, "Yeah, I guess he'll get the hand ones, right? Thank you for putting in all the care into the game. My grandson is autistic, but he now knows where France is, and it got him thinking about. I'm like, oh my god, that's just wonderful. A game can do that too.
Tanks give me bloody PTSD. There's a mission in World War II where you go straight into being a tank for the first time, and you got to go through the ruins, and there's two tanks in your way.
Yes.
And
Oh yes,
I
yes.
remember
Yeah.
I was on the PS4, and I remember for some reason, I don't know if I just put my difficulty up. It was a pain in the ass to get through those tanks because you think, oh, I think I finally got it, one more shot, and then you do it, and
Yeah.
the tank's still standing.
Dude, you know how long? I mean, people don't realize. Well, maybe they do. To get that right, it's all about timing, right? And we spent, I don't know. You put somebody on it, they're spending a few months on it. But to get the timing right, we're like playing it, going, okay, it's not exactly right. That to get that all. Oh my gosh, yeah, stuff like that is like, you're jumping into a bee's nest. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, get out and you heal, and you really like what you made.
Something
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, especially because, obviously you're into arts. I don't know what gave me that idea, but, you've been drawing since childhood and carrying hundreds of pens with you, everywhere you go. How does this like lifelong practice influence your approach to game telling and storytelling? Or game design and storytelling, sorry.
I draw in public for the energy. I feel I can, I have headphones on and I'm listening to my music, and I can get right to it. Right, I can just get in that spot, and so I enjoy that there's people around or walking by or in a plane or whatever, because being an artist is a lonely job. You're doing it by yourself much of the time, and I'm in my studio and nobody else is, right, unless they come in and sit down all that. So for me, it was like I just want to get out. And then at the same time, it was like I was starting to draw stuff out there, that I would see. And then I realized that I don't want to do that. If I'm going to draw something, I'm going to take a photo of it to come back and have all my stuff around me that I need. You know what I mean? But it got to a point where now I had to get I have a handmade. I got it right here.
What a coincidence.
Well, I'm leaving tonight on a plane, and I have to get this ready.
Oh,
I
no
have
way.
my logo and everything
Oh, yeah,
put
that's
on
pretty
it.
cool. That's pretty cool.
It's buffalo, so that it's just the right size. I can get it on any plane. Sometimes they give me a hard time, but I always win. just because it's art. And then they go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm just John.
You know, you know what I did learn recently? You know, you once extended a trip to Venice just to soak in the art and architecture. And I'd love to know what was the most unexpected thing you took away from that experience, and has it made its way into your work yet?
There was two things. One is simple, which was I didn't. We're driving to Pisa or something. We're about an hour or so out of where we were, and we drive past these mountains way in the back. There's a mountain range, and then behind them is a bigger mountain range, and there's one or two mountains that are white, right? Most of it is white. There's still, some rock around it. They're like, that is the finest marble in the world. That's what they use to make the David and so many more. And I was like, so wait a second. They had all this talent.
Yeah.
They had the Medicis paying for everything, and they had the world's finest marble just an hour away, or less than that it was. And I'm like, phew, you talk about divine intervention. If you however you believe your higher power, that would be one right there. Because what came out of the Italian Renaissance to me is the greatest artistic movement that the world has ever seen.
With your like love of the arts, especially art history and how it influences your work, was there ever like a painting or a sculpture or an architectural detail you've encountered in person that changed the direction of a game you were working on at the time?
I don't know about at the time, but Dead Space, and I can't tell you what, I can't remember everything. But so Dead Space in the beginning, I had a vision of what it was looking like, what it should look like. We had a bunch of drawings. I'm like, yeah, no, that kind of way. The original, but I was really struggling with the enemies. What does the enemy look like, right? And I hired some of the best in the industry, and so I come back to and look at some of the backgrounds. This is early in the game. I probably took my eye off the ball for the environments for about a week or two, and which I'll never do. I've never done. But I can't remember why. I came back and I sat in the concept art meeting, which is one that I will try and show up 100% of the time. And so I'm sitting there and I realize that the pictures that were being chosen as like, okay, yeah, this really works with this fit. As an artist and art director myself, of course, because I was actually kind of mentoring him. Again, I don't like to use that word, but so I said, "What? I have no idea how you chose those." After I don't know how you did it. And well, I liked them. I'm like, no, that's not our direction. So that's when the next day I came back and I said to him, I want you to try Gothic. A Gothic feel. So if you look at the game in Dead Space, you will see the arches and I don't know if we put flying buttresses in and stuff like that, but that was our inspiration for much of it. So yes, yeah, and all the time, I'll go back and look at stuff. I
Something
use I use art history all the time.
that's what I was reading. I thought it was really cool, and I was like, I gotta ask about it. Especially when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
with your trip to Venice, that was cool. Cool little fact. Now,
yeah,
something
yeah.
I saw, and I'm not sure if you still develop it, but a while back you talked about developing a comic pop kind of style, a fusion of comic humor and pop art influences like Keith Haring and Roy Lichtenstein. And has that style stayed with you, or have your artistic interests shifted since then?
Yeah, no, it hasn't stayed with me. I mean, I have so many different styles. It's not even sometimes you don't I don't know exactly what style is going. Well, of course I can force it, right? But sometimes I'm like, oh man, in the middle of it, I'm like, I'm going to use a palette knife. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do. So I've tried so many different styles. That was one. And I probably did that for about a year or two. I think I'm going to hang one up in my new house. I forget which one. I think I did one of. a Weintraub. What was her name? That Weintraub. So maybe not her. I did some crazy characters. That's just it.
Yep.
And they're not the kind that are going to sell. There was a guy from Australia. He was in. Spielberg called him the greatest actor he ever worked with.
Oh, I know.
Rathwaite or something.
I know who you're talking about. I remember seeing that on like on IMDb fact kind of thing. Oh,
yeah. Like I did him. I have like a 5 foot picture of him. Who's gonna buy that besides his family and me? Spielberg, maybe.
moving on from art and back to movies from what you were speaking before, with Dead Space, it fused sci-fi. It was inspired by Event Horizon. It was inspired from that for Dead Space atmosphere. How do movies shape your narrative style when designing games?
I The truth is that I don't follow movies in terms of structure or stuff like that. I mean, a movie's 2 hours long. We're much longer.
Yeah.
So you have to account that structure is just so different, and you have to dole stuff out along the way, and also I don't see a big. I did have a writer a while ago who said, "I'm like, hey, dude, I can pretty much pick who's going to be the bad guy, who's gonna turn on me, And he said he told me went to school for it, and he wanted beginning, middle, and end, and what you do is like in the one part of the begin in the middle, you kill off a character and you do all this. I said, "Dude, I want nothing like that." To me, a video game is a lot more open. You still want to tell your story, of course, and you got to be tight in telling your story. But it's 12 hours long. So you some people said in Callisto that we didn't tell enough story in the middle of it, so we added some, in a patch, and the truth is they were right. They're right. When you go back and look, when you're making a game, these things. Like
You know these
I hope
things.
no one notices because I can't get to it. They notice. Everyone notices.
Something I kind of want to ask as well. You've won multiple Action Game of the Year award, and how does that recognition affect your creative drive and your choices in future projects?
Here's what I say to the team: we now know what being the best looks like, right? Because we've done it twice, but the bar keeps moving. We've been there. We should be the ones moving the bar.
Keep
So
making the roof higher.
yeah, it keeps going because I do believe Advanced Warfare and World War II were also nominated for Action Game of the Year, which puts you in the top 5, and that's what we strive for. Try and be in the top wherever you can. Look, it's not like you're like, well, that's a lofty goal, Glenn, and it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to say, hey, I want to be second. I did do that once, but that's a different story. But you know what I mean. So you shoot for at first when I was saying I'm going to make the scariest game ever with Dead Space, people were like, "That's kind of cocky," and I'm like, "I know, I hate saying it, but what am I supposed to say? No, it's not going to be quite that scary, but it's going to be great. You should play it."
Yep.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. We'll take it. It's all right. We'll take it. I'm asking so many
Damn, dude,
questions.
am I going to have to come back and just like dub in stuff and?
Yeah. I'd laugh if I got like an email
Hold
from
on,
you.
let me try and move my lips. Yeah.
It'd be funny in like a month, or not even a month, but in like a few days, I get an email from you going, "Oh, your question. Here's a better answer," and then it's just an MP3 file.
Why
Now,
not?
yeah, it could happen.
I'm wearing a different shirt.
No, that's editing. We'll just change the color, make it look the same.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, something I'd loved seeing, and it's pretty cool. You've worked with big names in Hollywood like Sean Connery and Josh Duhamel for your games. How does directing performances in games differ from film or TV?
Well, again, I don't know anything about film and TV. I've never even been on the set of a movie. Can you believe it? And all these things I've done. The only set I was, I've been on a lot of sets, but they've been for video
Yeah.
games. So yeah, I don't know. From what I hear, because we're doing motion capture, we're doing performance capture these days. We got headphones on and we're watching it live, and then we're watching it also on other screens that show what it looks like in the game. So when a shot is done, the actor actually sits down for a while and reads a book because we're looking at the maybe up to 10 minutes, sometimes longer in between shots. And from what I hear, the actors will say that they don't take that's, like cut. Okay, let's go over here. Shot. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know it's true of what we do, and obviously seeing it in playing on the game and a monitor next to you is quite different.
Now, moving on to performances and the people that you have directed, how does it know feeling you directed Sean Connery's last performance as James Bond, technically in the video game?
It's crazy. Again, to be able to say that, those of you who know who Sean Connery is pretty amazing, right? I directed Sean Connery in his last thing as we pulled him out of retirement for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would leave messages, Schofield, this is Sean Connery, and and my wife would kept them, on the phone. Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
What a
wild.
great man, great
That's
man.
really cool.
Enriched my life with stories, and going out to dinner with him. Waters part, people move out of the way, and just mouth is open, like
Wow.
that's fucking Sean Connery.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it
him.
is.
That's him.
Yep, yeah, it is, and I'm with him.
What a life. What a life you've lived with all the things that you've done. And it kind of
It's been
relates.
crazy.
It
Yeah, yeah.
it relates to the next question. Looking beyond individual projects, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for you? And like, how do you see video games evolving as a culture and artistic medium over the next decade?
Oh, there's a couple questions there. What was the first one again?
First one, looking
Oh,
beyond,
legacy,
yeah, what
legacy.
kind of legacy do you hope to leave?
I don't believe in legacy, right? And the reason
He's
is,
living forever. That's why. He has a secret. He's living forever.
no, because I believe your legacy is alive while the people who lived in your bubble, your generations. It's only alive until they all die. Then everyone forgets. I mean, when was the last time we talked about George Washington or even Elvis, right? Considered it. You don't talk about those. So imagine all the people underneath them. So my job, I believe, is to just pass on the knowledge that I have to the next generation.
And leave the impact. So just
That's all we can do. That's my everybody has a different thing. My feeling is like hey, I'm kind of important, just like everybody else is. We have something that we are contributing. We don't
you
always know what
can't
it
your
is.
screen. I can't see the top half of you.
Oh,
We go.
sorry. I see myself doing that, and
I'm
I'm
like
oh yeah,
looking, and I'm like, I just see the mouth, and I'm like, what a great
you know what
angle.
I'm doing? I'm cropping myself. I'm
Yeah.
going, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh
Sorry.
man, am I on my side? Did
No,
they
no,
flip me now?
No. There's only been one other moment where you've leaned back in your chair and you just see the top of your like head.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Let me. And I know I'm doing it. Like I said.
And yep, what a great angle.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Oh, I should have put a nice background up, shouldn't I? But ish.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah. I got an empty canvas sitting there
I just
ready
see
to
an
go.
air. I see two lights and an air vent at the top there.
Yeah. All right. There is
Oh, yep.
there's a canvas on a big easel.
And to the right, you'll see the computer that died on him.
There's a couple things come up, but here's one. This is I just found this. I'm gonna bring it down to my old house. My new house is can you see this?
I can a little bit.
This is a monkey from SpiteTV Awards.
SpiteTV Awards.
Do you remember SpiteTV?
God, not really. Like, I feel like it's...
Oh wow! I guess I was just before you. So they had this award show. Spike TV was a pretty big TV show. I mean,
Yep.
that's what we used to have. There would be a couple of. I think Keeley was on one of them. Some of these shows, and we should have more of this. Like you should actually be on TV. You should be sitting in a thing and bringing up guests for the game industry. The game industry needs that, right? So Yeah, look. Companies used to say, and look, they may not say it now, but I'll tell you, you told me right to my face enough times. They don't want you to become famous or big or anything else at the time. Number one, they were worried about poaching and stuff like that. But number two is just they had no reason. They didn't think it was counterproductive. I don't believe in that. I believe that that Hollywood did that on purpose. They went and started some shows and stuff like that because they thought that if they had stars or people that could help sell movies, which is absolutely right, right? But the industry lacks that. I mean, we know who Miyamoto is, but nobody else does, right? We know who these guys are, but nobody else does. Not outside the world. So they're not waiting for Miyamoto's next game, right? They're not waiting for Glen Schofield's next game.
Yeah, when are you
They,
making part 2 to your Barbie series, man? What a hit!
oh, I talked to Dan about that. I'm like, Dan, yeah, we got to go with Barbie. I got full color now,
Yeah.
man.
Oh.
I could. Oh yeah, yeah. Wow, we could go to town with that. But oh man, a Barbie game with Switch.
Oh,
You know what? Give me that license. I'll do a game for that.
yeah. I'd
I'll do a
reckon.
game.
Yeah, he'd do it.
It
What?
would.
What?
Might be over the top. I mean, yeah, there'd be exploding stuff, but not Barbie. Yeah,
Actually,
maybe.
this kind of goes on to my next question in a way. If you could create any horror game starting any pop culture icon, living or dead, who would you pick, and what kind of game would you make?
So, oh my gosh, Spanish actor. I can't remember.
I've put him on the spot here.
Javier Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem.
What's he been in?
Old men for no old country for no man, something like
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah. He get an award for playing the most accurate serial killer.
Freaking great, man.
Which
See
is
him,
funny.
watch him in anything.
I didn't know the name, but when you said the movie, I was like, I know that. We know that movie.
I mean, he can freaking act, and he played a great villain in James Bond. Do you remember?
I do. The
He,
James Bond, the movies.
he was in the. I think he had blonde or white hair in it. In it, he was great.
What kind of game
He
would you make with him? What kind of horror
um
game?
somehow he's manipulating
Ooh.
uh other things, right? He's got, because you want him to be the bad guy, but you're not going to be killing him the whole game. So yeah, I got to think of whether I want him to be a good guy or a bad guy.
You can
um
think about it. We can come back to it if you want. With the
yeah, he
what?
could actually be both, which would
Oh,
be kind of cool. Yeah, little schizo in there. I also like Leonardo DiCaprio. I just think it's a really great actor. But I hear his mom doesn't like video games, so I don't. That's what I heard. Something like that. His cat. I don't know. So he won't. That's why he's not games.
in the video game world, directing big Call of Duty games is kind of means balancing creative ambition with massive commercial expectations in a way. How do you manage that when making a Call of Duty game, especially with your history?
I don't think about the well, I shouldn't say that. When you're designing or anything like that, I mean, you're thinking of everything. You need to have every single thing, every angle, everything come through your head and come through so that you can come out with the idea. Yeah, well, I was talking to someone the other day because somebody brought this up. I attack. If I have an empty canvas, I attack it. If I have I'm going to write a story for a video game, I'm going to attack it. And I think that's the way I do life, is attack. And sometimes it's like, it's just aggressive. And I think that's just where I grew up in New York and New Jersey. But maybe not. I don't really know. But yeah, so I go after creative ambition. It's a good. Let me segue that into the reason why I run studios or wanted to run games is because I wanted creative autonomy. It's not because I wanted to be the guy getting that salary or whatever. I didn't even know the salaries. I wanted creative autonomy. And a lot of us 20 years ago, we're fighting that because, execs want or everybody wants to have a piece of video games, they want to be part of it. And so I just wanted to say, when I walk in the room, it's like, look, you're in charge of the company, you're in charge of HR, I'm in charge of the creative for the video game. And so because it was the right thing to do, not because wanted power, it's the right thing to do. Why would I put you in charge? My whole life has been creative. My whole life, man. Sounds like a good part of yours. But I mean, everything I do is just about has been about the creative.
Do you think, with all the years that you've had in the industry, with 2021 particularly was widely regarded as a toughie for the gaming industry, and
The worst.
you've mentioned that as well. I'd love to know, or not love to know, but can you share what that period was like from your perspective and how you challenged or how you faced the challenges like COVID and the hurdles it threw your team?
Oh man, yeah, that was the worst year of my of being in development. Because not only did we have COVID was taken down anywhere from 4 to 8 people a month. And sometimes a whole department would go down because it'd be three of them working together, right? The VFX team would they were gone, so you had nothing. And when people got sick with COVID, that first round that came out was really strong. Whereas here in the United States, we lost 1.2 million people.
Wow.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of people. I lost one of my best friends, and he died, and we couldn't go see him. We couldn't do anything because it was COVID. Right, you were stuck. And so we've never even had a funeral for him. But so that happened. Then we have the COVID, and we weren't in the studio and everything. And then we had in 21 what was called the Great Resignation. And the Great Resignation was exactly what.
It sounds like.
Yes, because what was happening was people were dumping money into the game industry because we were selling like crazy. People were playing video games at home, right? It's COVID. What do? They play. People were dumping a lot of money into the industry. Jobs were changing. So people were leaving all the time. That year, we lost, I believe, 48 people. They left. But because it was the Great Resignation, it was easy enough for us to hire as well. In some cases, we did better, right? We would hold out for that. But what you lose is the training of those people. Let's say they were here for 6 months or 10 months before, all that training's gone, right? And so it's a new engine, it's new this. So it was a tough year, man. Just trying to figure out how to go through COVID, how to go through the Great Resignation. I would get a call from somebody, and then they go sit down. So and so left, and I'm like, oh my god. So it was the worst year.
I'm
I've had some bad years. I've had some great years, and when I say bad, it was tough. It was stressful and all that. In the end, I'd still rather do that than anything else.
sorry about your best friend in that story. That does suck.
Yeah, yeah,
That does
Phil.
suck.
Yeah, he was my roommate in college for 4 years. So
Wow.
you get to know someone quite well.
I
Yeah, he was in my wedding party, everything. And
feel like
rest in peace, Phil. Man, we miss you.
feel like COVID's still getting people now. I know that it's still getting people, especially on sets. People are
Yep.
still getting diagnosed to this day.
I got it last year. I got it and I still have it. I have long-term COVID now.
Oh, yeah. This is a random question, but with a lot of platforms taking up fees in the up to the 30% range, how do you think that impacts the long term health and innovation of game development? Should like Steam and Sony and Xbox reconsider their cut during tough times, or do you think it's just the cost of doing business?
I think it's a lot of money. I mean, they don't have to make up many covers and things like that these days. I was saying the same thing. So here's what we go out on the road, and we make a game, and we're like, okay, it's coming in at around 14 million, something like that. We're trying to keep it under 20 or you know what I mean. Just for
Yeah,
you throw in the fees on top of that, and you go up about 3.5 million or whatever it is. I mean, now you've taken a game that was like, okay, it's 14, it's under 15, and now you're over 15 because you're at 17 and change. It is a lot of money, especially for these small teams, and we felt it. We're like, oh my god, 32% or whatever it was, because look, nothing is free. Everything else we pay for. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, they told me I signed 70 different contracts for Callisto during the 3 years of making it.
wow.
But I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, Steam and Slack, and there's all these things you have now, and I'm signing contracts for this or that. So, man, a lot of work, a lot of people.
What's your thoughts on there was a game engine called Unity where they wanted to introduce a fee where every time someone downloads your game, you got charged a certain amount per download, and I'd love to know what your thoughts on.
Riccatello. That was Riccatello, right?
I don't know who introduced
Yeah,
it. I
yeah.
just know Unity did.
That was John. John, when he when he was at, he didn't last long after that. John's a really good guy. I like him. He used to be the president or CEO of EA. Yeah, when Paul Lee was there for a while, interim, and then John took over. So John ran EA before he did Unity, and John was a big fan of Dead Space. He was a very big fan, and I appreciate that a lot. I don't know what went on at Unity. I know that he got into a lot of trouble with that, and
Oh,
probably cost him job.
the amount of see, I wasn't into game development, but it got to a point where I was seeing it every day on social media, and how like there were multiple games that were really big on Unity talking about switching to Unreal. Like everyone was like,
Yeah,
it would have cost Unity a lot.
yeah. I personally don't know why they don't switch, but and I don't know if it's financial or not, or it's just a matter of like, yeah, no, I've been working on it for 10 years, so I'm going to stick here. That would be an honest and good answer. But it would be better if we had more. The more people we had on it, the better it's going to get.
Something I wanted to know, and I'd love to know this because I didn't clock this for the longest time, but I actually watched this when this came out, and I never clocked it until I rewatched it. But you did Wired's tech support a little bit. Was it fun to kind of geek out with fan questions like that? And did you get any input on what props were going on the desk?
I think I did. They didn't care. They were great. You're talking about the Wired one,
Yeah,
right?
right. Wired tech support. Because you know what's funny? I watched
That
that.
was fun.
I never
That was
realized it.
fun.
I watched it, and then when I was rewatching, I'm like, wait, I actually know this guy. Wait a minute.
It was cool, right? I mean, they edited it right. They got it, so it was fun to do. Yeah, I like fun those things like that. Yeah,
This is the last question. We've made it to the last question. To the
yeah.
interview. You've survived.
Good,
and
good for me.
and I'd love to know. This is kind of more of a personal one, but I'd love to know: are there any other activities that you enjoy outside of work, maybe with your family and your kids, that you enjoy doing these days?
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I are finally starting. I did so much travel for work, but she never went.
Oh, no
Only
way.
once. Only once, man. And it was a long time ago. So we're starting to do some more of that. And believe it or not, we're going to a lot of concerts. I love old time rock and roll. Matter of fact, I'm going a little deaf from years of rock. It's
You should
sucks,
get
but
those concert plugs that pop in your ears and prevents your ears from just going to crap. I heard.
oh, it's too late. It's too late. Yeah, yeah. No, I
Pardon?
mean, it's too late for me to. You bastard. I'm reading. I'm watching this documentary. I'm in Brighton, England, not too long ago, and I'm watching this documentary on the last man, the last deaf man in England, and I'm watching this documentary, going, that can't be, and I'm like, holy crap. And so I'm like, the last deaf man, and it was so good, right? I didn't watch the whole thing or anything. I go and tell my brother-in-law, and he's like, no, it can't be. And we look it up. It was like 900,000 deaf people, and they didn't come up. It was a satire. It was awesome. It got me. But
Well,
yeah, no, I'm going there because of rock.
when you obviously, with you having 3 kids, were you like, did you want them to go in the gaming industry, or were you just going to support them whatever decision they decided to make?
Yeah, I had one rule, and that was you're going to college. It can be clown college. I don't care. You're
Just
just
go to
going to
college.
college. Yes, yes. And the reason is because I know that when you just learn. You break out in college. You do so many things for the first time in college, right? And so and then you're talking to people who are in it. So I just told them you got to go to college. You got to go to school. You got to do something after it. And so that was not a problem with my kids. So no, I support. Look, my dad supported me. He was in construction, and for him to say, "Well, I guess you're going to be an artist. You better go to the best art school you can get in." It was a big deal for me, right? So I want to leave that. My kids should do what they want. My one daughter did follow me into the industry, though.
Must have
I
been
shouldn't
pretty
say
cool.
follow.
It must have
She
been.
followed her. She followed her heart, man. She is a gamer. Oh my god, I don't know anybody else. She was one of the top. Look at me cropping myself again. One of the top 100 Call of Duty players at some point when I was making it.
Must
Oh
be
yeah,
pretty cool when you like saw one of your own kids going, "Oh, I think I want to go in the gaming industry," and you're like a proud father moment, at the back there.
yeah. Of course I am. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What a great career. I'm not biased, but
Yeah,
what a great
and you
career.
want to hold their hand and help them out and everything, but you know you can't.
Yep.
You know
It would have
they
been
got to
funny if
do it.
all three went into games. Imagine that. What do the other two
Yeah.
do?
My son is going to school to be X-ray and technician in the hospital,
Oh, yep. Yep.
and my youngest daughter is in. She's going to LMU, and she is a real overachiever. Yeah, she wants to get like three degrees done in 3 years, and then go for masters in business or something. I don't know if it's an MBA or what, but yeah, she said. I said, how's the sorority? And she said, I like the sorority, but I don't like some of the people. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to leave it? And she goes, no, Dad, I'm going to become president. That's what I'm going to do. I'm like, oh, man. Okay. Love it.
Before I go and we go, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. I've had a blast sitting here listening to all this, going down memory lane with you to your breakout role in Barbie and The Simpsons, to your other titles, and mate, it's been
Yeah.
an absolute pleasure. And I just wanted to say thank you for jumping on with me today.
Oh, man. Thank you. It is fun to go down memory lane. And as long as I don't sound like the oldest man in the world, thank you. Thank you. Really good questions. I appreciate that.
Oh, awesome! I'll take that. Thank you, mate.
Yeah. You got it, man.